What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today. Welcome to the Week 13 Tailgate Show. That's right, we didn't do this last week because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Gave everyone a little bit of extra time with the family, but now Thanksgiving is over, so the tailgate is back. Now, just like we always do in this show, there are timestamps down below for whatever segment you're looking into. We got the end of the week news, we got weather updates, the reminder of the Pristine auction giveaways here this week, another installment of Mack and the Medic, and some Friday flyers. Now, before we get into the end of the week news, I want to make sure that you saw the deal that we're running here this week with Underdog. Now, I don't know if you realized or not, but Calvin Ridley has been straight balling here the last 2 weeks, but I want to make it 3 weeks in a row, regardless of what happens in the game here this week. So we partnered up with Underdog to make a Calvin Ridley free square pick'em here in week 13. How do you get that Calvin Ridley free square pick'em? It's easy. Sign up for a new account on Underdog Fantasy. Use the referral code Headliners and then make the minimum $10 deposit. Now, once you do that, Underdog's going to match your deposit all the way up to $100, and then you're also going to get that Calvin Ridley free square. All he's going to need is 1 yard to hit. Once he gets that, you're on your way to making some money. Plus, we've had some other Underdog pick'ems and shows here this week, and Kyle, every Sunday morning, spends 45 minutes to an hour going through Underdog pick'ems, trying to find ways for our members and our viewers to walk away with some cash in their pockets. So if you haven't signed up for a new account yet, be sure to do so now, and let's have Calvin Ridley be a winner for 3 weeks in a row. All right, but let's go ahead and head into some end of the week news here. Some things that have come up here late on Friday that I want to make sure that you know about. The first one up is Aaron Jones already being ruled out. Now, I saw in our Discord earlier in the day, I'm sorry, I don't remember who actually said it, that Aaron Jones is going on their do not draft list. I think it was Peasy. Peasy, was that you out there? And you know what? The more I thought about it, I don't know if I can ever say do not draft a person regardless, because it obviously has to do with ADP. But I may be out on Aaron Jones going forward if I have to spend anything remotely close to a pick in the first 3 rounds. This passing offense is firing on all cylinders. Jordan Love is a more than capable quarterback, and Aaron Jones just can't seem to stay healthy. It sucks we're not going to have him here in week 13. Keep your fingers crossed. Maybe we can use him another time or two here before the season is over, but we just don't know yet. What about Dallas Goddard? Because right now I'm feeling so damn fancy. He has a chance to return this week for Philadelphia. Now, he's been back at practice. Now, does that mean that he would automatically get a full set of snaps if he's on the field this weekend? I don't know if I'm really ready to say that just yet, but he would get a few looks, which means we have to lower the ceiling down a little bit for Devontae Smith, because, you know, those two kind of struggle to coexist on the field at the same time. How about we head over to Arizona? Trey McBride back at practice today. That is a great sign for those of you needing a tight end. What's not great is his teammate Hollywood Brown is still not practicing, and there's a chance that he misses here in week 13. If that's the case, Big Dortch Energy, Greg Dortch, and Trey McBride could see a buttload of targets. What about Devon Achane? Yes, he's supposed to return for the Miami Dolphins here this week. Now, so many people a couple weeks ago were excited to throw him right back into their lineup when he came back, and he got injured right away. So we have to exercise a little bit of caution here this week. I'm just like you. I want to throw him into my lineup because I would love to see at least 30 points from him. But you have to think they're not going to overly utilize him once again coming back from a re-injury to try to keep this kid healthy heading into a playoff stretch. Plus, there's a chance of some bad weather in that game. We'll get to that here in just a minute. Now, who out there watched the Thursday night football game? Who saw that huge touchdown from DK Metcalf there early in the first quarter? He was clocked at 22.23 miles per hour on that run. That will now make him the fastest ball carrier of all NFL players here in 2023, passing Tyreek Hill, whose current season high was 22.01. Here's what's crazy about that, though. Tyreek is 5'10", 185. DK, 6'4", 240. It is absolutely terrifying that a human being that size can run that fast in full pads. I know how fast a player runs doesn't give you fantasy points, but I just thought that was absolutely crazy and had to share it. All right, that's going to wrap up the end of the week news, which means now we head into the weather update. And I'm going to be honest, there are a lot of games that we need to pay attention to here this weekend. The first one up, it's the Chargers and Patriots. 46 degrees and a 60% chance of rain in this ball game. Now, at the time of this recording, I know there's a lot of people out there sweating and waiting to find out whether or not we're going to have Keenan Allen here this week or not. Now, as of yet, we haven't seen him practicing much, if at all, this entire week. But we also know that he's been overused like a mofo in that offense because there's no one else to throw the ball to consistently. We're reaching that witching hour, though, where If we don't see him on the field soon or don't get any word soon, you need to be sure to have a backup plan in place. Because especially having a game with some weather concerns, it's not ideal. How about the next game? The Falcons and the Jets, 52 degrees with a 75% chance of rain, our highest percent chance of rain of any game this weekend. And honestly, that's a good thing, right? Because we're not overly counting on the passing game of either one of these teams. We're hoping for a whole lot of Bijan Robinson on the ground and would love to see a healthy Breece Hall as well. Another name we're kind of waiting until this weekend to find out more information on. How about the Arizona Cardinals and Pittsburgh Steelers? 54 degrees and 74% chance of rain there in Pittsburgh. You got to remember, the Cardinals are from the desert. It rains like 3 times a year, and even when that's the case, it's like 1/100 of an inch. This isn't a team that's overly used to playing in wet conditions, so we have to be sure to pay attention to that matchup as well, especially if we're going to be without the likes of Marquise Hollywood Brown potentially, like we talked about before. How about the Miami Dolphins and Washington Commanders? We mentioned this when we were talking about Devon Achane. 58 degrees and a 52% chance of rain. Not something I'm overly concerned about. We've seen some high-profile offenses here lately put up some points in the rain just last week, right? Look at the Philadelphia Eagles and Buffalo Bills a couple weeks ago, so I'm not overly concerned just yet, especially with it basically being a 50-50 chance, but that is a game to pay attention to. How about the San Francisco 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles as well? 54 degrees and a 61% chance of rain. We've seen Philly produce in rain before, pretty recently, like we just mentioned, but what about San Francisco? This is not ideal to have a rainstorm in this matchup. This is a matchup of 4 starting wide receivers that everyone wants to really put in their lineups. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. We want to start all those guys this week, but we can't be blind to the weather, so that is definitely another matchup to pay attention to as well. But all right. That's a lot of damn weather to talk about, but now let's transition over into a reminder of what our Pristine auction giveaways are here this week. And I don't know if you saw it in my wide receiver ranking video here earlier in the week, but we're giving away a signed Jordan Addison Vikings themed football right here. This thing is pretty sick. Thanks to our friends over at Pristine Auction. If you want to get in on this giveaway, you need to go to my wide receiver rankings video here for week 13. Hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and be sure to have a free account signed up at pristineauction.com using the code word headliners. It costs you absolutely nothing to do, and we'll throw a $10 coupon into your account. So if you want to do a little bit of Christmas shopping, you'll get it at a little bit of a discount as well. That's for the football. But we're also doing a signed Justin Herbert Funko Pop. Right here, you can see it in the yellow ink that this right here is sweet. This giveaway, a little bit different because this one right here is gonna go all the way until Christmas week, right? So we have a few weeks on this giveaway. How do you enter this one? It's still super simple to do it, right? How we're going to pick a winner for the signed Justin Herbert Funko Pop is this. We already know that you're gonna have to have that free account signed up at pristineauction.com anyway, right? We already know that, but I wanna see what people are buying this Christmas. I wanna see what type of deals you're getting because I can go on there and as of late, I have found autographed jerseys for like 40 bucks, especially in the 10-minute auctions during the weekdays. I know a lot of people are getting some crazy fire items out there at great prices. I wanna see what those are. So I'm having people send me screenshots. I don't want your personal information. I just want a screenshot of the item and the price that you got it for there from Pristine Auction, and then send it to me in an email, info@thefantasyheadliners.com. We've already had some people throw in some submissions, and dang, there's some absolute fire being purchased out there off of pristineauction.com. So be sure to get on this giveaway as well. You got to do some Christmas shopping anyway, right? You got to find some presents. You might as well do it on Pristine Auction because it is a ton of fun to be going through their website. All right, but that'll do it for me here. So now it's time for me to throw it over to the doc for the next installment of Mack and the Medic.
Yo, what's going on, Headliner Nation? It's week 13 and we're back with Mack and the Medic. Back again. Mack, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Man, did you get a lot of food?
I did, man. Too much, actually.
Oh,
hey,
man.
That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. And I had a great Thanksgiving as well. But we got to talk about some contenders and pretenders, Mack, because I think we are at the point in the NFL season where we can tell which teams are competing for a title and which teams aren't. So we're going to go through the best teams in the league right now, and you're going to tell me if you think that that team is contending for a Super Bowl or if they're just pretending and their record doesn't really reflect how good they are. So I'll stop you when I think you've done something crazy. But we're going to start right at the top. Philadelphia Eagles, 10-1 record, contending or pretending?
Contending.
Oh, for sure. They have to be. Went to the Super Bowl last year, came right back, 10-1. The Eagles have got a chip on their shoulder this year. What about the Ravens, 9-3?
Contending.
I like to think so. I'm a little nervous about them losing Mark Andrews. We'll see how the rest of the year plays out. But I would agree for right now, the defense is mean.
Yeah.
That defense is out for they're hurting people, man. I mean, they are not fun to play against. And the offense, Lamar, as long as he's healthy, they have got a shot. What about the 49ers, 8-3? Contending as well. I think that they're, of all the teams, this is the one I think has the best chance to just, if everybody's healthy, I think they're the best team on paper. No real injuries to speak of, at least nothing serious yet. Can they put it together this year? I think the 49ers are competing for sure, contending for sure. What about the Dolphins, 8-3?
Yeah, contending.
I'm a little suspicious of this one, Mac. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I see the offense contending.
Mm-hmm.
They lost the Phillips kid. They're a little banged up on the offense. The offense, the first 4 weeks looked a lot different than what it looks like now. I worry a little bit about how much they're trusting Raheem Mostert. We'll see how his season continues on. Hopefully they can get Devon Achane back and see a little bit of that magic they had in the first couple of weeks. That run game looked unstoppable.
Yeah.
I'm going to say pretending. What do you think? I mean, the offense is too good?
Yeah, they're just going to outscore people, man. It's going to be one of those, again, with a Chan coming back, you still got Tyreek, the freak out there. It's going to be explosive, man. As long as Tua can stay upright, I think this team has a chance. They're just too explosive.
All right. I'm a little suspicious of the defense. Max, believing in the offense. We're going to go. I've been convinced. I'll say contending, even though I'm a little suspicious of that defense. What about the Chiefs, 8-3?
Man, I'm on the fence, but I'm gonna say contending because you just can't count them out.
Yeah, I think that Pat Mahomes has earned the right to be contending every year, even if his wide receivers have looked not great so far this year. I've seen some sparks. I like the Rice kid a lot. And I just, they're at the point now where I trust the offense. I trust the defense enough, and I trust the coaching a ton. So I'm going to go contending, but this is the most nervous I've been about him for the last few years. Now, this is one that I actually legitimately was surprised when I was looking up the records. The Jaguars, 8-3. Pretending. Why?
Well, I think they're playing above and beyond, what they're capable of right now. They got a great offense. Don't get me wrong. Defense is okay. It's a little iffy. I'm just not a huge believer in Trevor Lawrence right now. I mean, he's been so spotty. Calvin Ridley is an alpha, and he hadn't been used as such. Yeah. So the offense is just too sporadic. And right now, ETN has been, hell, I think it was last game he had like 4 tries in the green zone, red zone, and couldn't get in.
Yeah. I think they expected Tank Bigsby to just be able to put the ball in the red zone. I think we're getting enough evidence now that ETN may not be quite as effective from 5 yards in. I would say 5 yards in. From 10 yards in, he's still pretty darn good. But 5 yards in, and when he has to just run straight, little worried. He's still playing, still producing well for our fantasy teams, but I think you're right. I'm going to go with pretending as well for the Jags, but they are 8-3. Like, they are winning games. So just keep an eye on them. What about the Cowboys, 8-3? Probably the most impressive 8-3 team we have.
Man,
at least recently.
Bad as I hate to say it, man. They're contending right now.
Yeah. I think with the studs on defense, with the offense playing the way it is right now, I'm going to say contending as well, which means they're definitely going to disappoint us in the playoffs. What about the Lions, 8-3? Kind of got a little bit exposed last week for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, a little bit, but I still say they're contending. Believe it or not, man, the Lions are only behind Miami in total offense in the whole league. So they are not your father's Lions team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with pretending. I feel like they're a year too early. Of all of the teams that we've talked about in terms of coaching, I know there's a lot of people that love Dan Campbell, but I just don't always see it, dude. Like, I am very suspicious. Maybe it's the nerd in me, but I'm very suspicious of like rah, chew your kneecaps off coaches, especially head coaches. I feel like sometimes they make dumb decisions, and I just like they went for a fake punt on 4th and 5 in their own territory last week, and I was just like, dude, good coaches don't make that decision, not in a regular season game. I'm worried he's going to do something stupid, is what I'm going to say. We got a lot of teams that are in content. So I agree, for the most part, those are the best teams in the league. We can agree on that, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We got a lot of teams that are kind of right in the mix. Falcons and Saints, one of those teams is going to be in the playoffs at 5 and 6 right now. Do we care about either of them?
No,
me neither. What about the Steelers and Browns at 7 and 4? You think they can make some noise?
I think the Steelers will. The Browns, with the whole quarterback situation, is kind of iffy.
Yeah, I don't think they have the guy. What about the Bills? 6 and 6, kind of disappointing this year.
Yeah, they're better than what their record shows. They could, come on here late. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you can't count them out.
All right, I got 5 teams here at 6 and 6 or 6 and 5. Okay, Vikings, Broncos, Seahawks, Colts, Texans. Of any of those teams, anybody you think could make a run, not just into the playoffs, but potentially a deep playoff run if they get there?
Believe it or not, I want to say Denver.
Yeah,
I think Denver, man. It's crazy to say, but they're starting to turn it around, man. It could be a Cinderella story like we never heard of.
Yeah, and new head coach, Sean Payton. Maybe they're starting to figure it out. Maybe he's figuring out the personnel a little bit better. They're starting to play a lot better. Defense is looking pretty stout. Their defense is looking really good. So I think the sexy pick of that group is probably the Texans. I think a lot of people like watching CJ Stroud right now, but a lot of those teams could make some noise given the right circumstances. Justin Jefferson coming back, if the Vikings could get in, he's a game breaker. He's a dude that could win you a playoff game if he has, a 200-yard game and a couple touchdowns. So, but I agree. I think the Broncos and the Texans are the two from that group that if they get into the playoffs, I do not want to see them playing the Steelers or really anybody else that's in the playoffs if I like that team. But Mack, I appreciate you taking some time. Let's talking about this type of thing, because we know this conversation is going to be there. So we're just trying to get a little bit ahead of the curve so we can talk about other stuff when we get to it. Mack, I hope you have a great week 13. Hope you have a great weekend. I'm going to throw it to you so that we can talk about some Friday Flyers.
Hey, Atlanta Nation, what it do? It's your boy Big Mac. I'm back again with the Friday Flyers. It's the Week 13 edition. Listen, playoffs are almost here. Let's go ahead and prepare it and be champions. And let's pick up some guys, some flyers that you might be able to stash away and use in the next coming weeks. So without further ado, let's get to it. All right, first up, I want to talk about Justin Watson, wide receiver from the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, again, we deep diving here a little bit. But Justin Watson has scored a touchdown in each of his last 2 games for the Chiefs. So he's flashed some life over the last 2 weeks with a 65% snap share and is averaging around 6 targets a game over the last 3 games. So coming down the stretch, he seems like he's a reliable option and a safety valve in the red zone outside of Kelsey. So again, you want pieces of offenses that are explosive and very potent. And Kansas City has been up and down all year, but they're starting to, come along here in the latter part of the season. And it looks like Justin Watson could be one of those guys that Pat Mahomes may lean on going forward. Next up, I want to talk about Khalif Raymond, wide receiver from the Detroit Lions. So when we think about the Lions offense, this is not the Lions of old. This Lions offense is actually very potent. They're actually ranked number 2, only behind the Miami Dolphins in total offense in the whole league. So you want a piece of this, high-powered arsenal. And most of your guys like the Sun God, Sam Laporta, a lot of the main pass-catching weapons are already, probably taken. Khalif Raymond is starting to get interjected into this offense more. Last week, he caught 5 targets for 90 yards. And the thing is, Raymond was second in receiving yards, only to Amon-Ra. So, again, they're going to be throwing the ball around 30 to 40 times a game. Yes, the running game is still going to go through Gibbs and David Montgomery. But one big key in this offense and what makes it click is the passing attack. So you want a piece of that. And like I said, going forward into your playoff run, Khalif Raymond could be one of those guys that you can plug in, maybe even as a flex. All right, next up, I want to talk about Trey Sherman, running back for the Indianapolis Colts. So by now, everybody's heard about Jonathan Taylor's latest injury, which is going to sideline him for the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe even more. And if you're not a Moss owner, you're going to have somebody that can probably kind of plug and play within this offense in the event if Moss gets hurt. Evan Hull, he's on IR, so they don't really have any other live healthy bodies right now outside of Trey Sermon. So you want to get a piece of this offense because they will continue to run the ball. They'll run first offense. Gardner Minshew, he's a decent quarterback, a bridge quarterback. But again, this offense is predicated and they rely on the running game. So Trey Sermon is a guy that like I said, you might want to just have him on your bench in the next week or so in the event. If anything happens to Moss, now you got another guy that can come in and give you some viable fantasy points. And last but not least, I want to talk about Chig Okonkwo, tight end for the Tennessee Titans. So last week, he caught 4 or 5 targets for 45 yards in the Titans' 17-10 win over the Panthers. Now, he's averaging around 5 targets a game over the last 4 games. That's pretty good for a tight end. And the only problem is the target share has been kind of mediocre prior, but they're starting to implement him even more within this offense. So, you're kind of flirting with tight end 1 type of numbers or the potential of that with those that target share between 5 and 6 targets a game. This stage in the fantasy playoffs or the fantasy season, it's going to be hard to find guys that you can plug in, especially at the tight end position, who's garnering that type of target share. So again, if you got availability, go check out Chig, scoop him up. Like I said, going into the fantasy playoffs, he could be somebody that you can depend on in that tight end position. All right, guys, listen, that's it for the Friday Flyers for Week 13. This fantasy season is almost over. We've enjoyed it. Enjoyed helping you guys. I want y'all to keep coming back. Like I said, we got a few more weeks to go, and I'm going to keep bringing you, some players that you can plug in, and hopefully maybe you can use some of these guys going forward. But until then, I want everybody to be safe, be blessed, and be champions. Peace.
All right, that's going to wrap up our Week 13 Tailgate Show. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did so, do me a favor, hit the like button here on your way out. And then just one last reminder, we have our live stream still Saturday evening, 9 p.m. Eastern time. But it's not going to be me and Kyle this week. It's going to be me and the Doc. So you don't want to miss out on that. But I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Have a great weekend. And then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.